Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Wednesday. As we know, a lot of you are still buzzing from last night's victory with Arkansas over Oklahoma in thrilling fashion, which I know we'll continue to talk about, but it's also got to turn the page because it is officially Kentucky Hate Week for the Razorbacks. So we'll get into that. Also get into some of the other news going around of the college basketball landscape, college sports landscape, do some heavy hitters, and of course, get into our chats here today. But fellas, it was a long night, but we made it back, and here we are on this Wednesday on Inside Arkansas Lives. How are the vibes here on this hump day?
Pretty solid. A lot more solid than they would have been had Arkansas not have gotten that done last night, but they did. You take the road dubs how you can get them. As we were playing our intro there, I was learning about this Golden Clash that's coming to Razorback Stadium, apparently in some kind of soccer game.
Oh.
I saw the email from KP, and I was like, oh, is this like a big football deal or whatever? It's Liga rivals Club America and Club Tigres facing off in the Golden Clash, March 28th. Get ready, folks, if that's your jam.
It's in Bud Walton?
It's no. It's at Razorback Stadium.
Okay. I was like, they're playing indoor soccer at Bud Walton, but okay. That's interesting. But yeah, I'm feeling good. I had the same thought, John, where I was like, when I woke up this morning, I was like dead tired. Like I was exhausted. I was like, I felt weird. I was like, oh man, that was a long night last night. I just can't imagine what it would have been like had Arkansas actually lost on the road in Norman to Oklahoma, who would have improved to, I guess, 2-6. Yeah, always easier to lick your wounds after a win, and the excitement's already starting to build for Saturday, man.
Yeah, it'd be really terrible to imagine losing last night, but the thing is, we don't have to because they didn't, and they're continuing on and having a nice little win from last night. And I mean, who could you imagine losing a basketball game in the SEC last night? I know I couldn't because that's not what Arkansas did. They took care of business, man, and it's fun to continue to watch this team and continue to see things in the way that they grow. And we talked about it on Inside Arkansas Live yesterday when we were live there in Norman. It's like, all right, so what's the situation that's going to make us feel better about going into the Kentucky game? And we talked about, all right, if they go out and they blow out Oklahoma, but what if they lost, or how is it going to happen? But now that it's kind of officially arrived here and looking into the week of Kentucky, it's like, did last night's game make you feel any sort of different way about the Kentucky game? And also including the fact that Kentucky got absolutely two-pieced by Vanderbilt last night. Is your vibes or anything changed from what it was 24 hours ago about this Kentucky game coming up this Saturday?
Nope, has not. I feel the same way about it that I did going into that game yesterday. That's not true. I'm a little bit irritated, not just that Kentucky lost, but the way that they lost. That probably takes a little bit of buzz away from their standpoint. I feel like we're not going to get as much trash talk now. I just talked myself into this in real time that I'm disappointed because I thought that the banter was really going to start ramping up. But when you just get, plastered by Vanderbilt the way that they did, what I'm seeing now is a bunch of people who are, and this happens every time Kentucky loses a game, but it's like, oh, sigh, copy and paste. It was time to move on from John Calipari. It was time for John Calipari to move on from Kentucky, but Mark Pope's not the man for the job. That's all we're going to see now. And I wish that they were a little bit more feisty on a 6-game winning streak and chirping Arkansas fans a little bit, but we're just not going to get that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm still not exactly sure how to feel. We won't really know until Saturday gets here, and then we see the teams play, and we'll kind of know. But you always kind of think, okay, Kentucky coming off a blowout loss, will that motivate them a little bit? Will that kind of wake them up? Will they play with their hair on fire Saturday? We don't really know. It obviously snaps their winning streak, which I think that's if you're a Razorback fan trying to contextualize this game and look forward to Saturday. I think there were a lot of us that looked at Kentucky's win streak and we're sitting here doing the game of like, is this legit? Like, have they actually figured something out? Or are they just kind of this fraudulent team who's skating by against bad teams? After last night's result, it's a little bit easier to feel that way of like, okay, yeah, we can now kind of dismiss that 5-game win streak. But make no mistake, like, regardless of whether or not Arkansas should beat Kentucky, whether or not Arkansas is better than Kentucky, whatever, you just know it's not going to go completely according to plan. You know that you're going to have to dig deep. You're going to have to battle. You're going to have to come out ready to play. You don't want to mess around and give this Kentucky team any type of confidence, any type of hope, especially with the crowd being what it's going to be on Saturday. Going to be pretty crazy. I feel like if Arkansas comes out and sets the tone for 10 minutes, that might be all she wrote. That really might be all it takes, but I don't want to see any lollygagging at the beginning of the game. I want to get this thing over with as quickly as possible. And I'm excited to see, like you said, Curtis, the mental gymnastics that start to play out on both sides, honestly, because I'm sure there's going to be some Hog fans who are a little cautious with their trash talk, remembering how down bad they were last year and don't want to set themselves up for anything crazy.
Well, and it's funny because we were talking about it as we were driving home last night. It's like I put on Twitter the quote from Cal when he was just asked about Kentucky, and he's just like, hey, Mark Pope's doing a great job over there. They struggled a little bit, and he's the right man for the job. And then I just see some Kentucky fans be like, hey, sit this one out, Cal. All right, this guy sucks. He's not any good. And we're like, what just happened? Where it's like you got the guy that you hated forever who's being complimentary towards your current coach, say he's the right man for the job. And then you're like going at the old coach being like, you're an idiot. Shut up. Because this guy sucks. Your current coach, it's like such a mind warp of trying to go around it. And I'm not saying that's how every Kentucky fan is, but it is certainly like they're in a position that's very unique to where I was hopeful. I was hopeful that the round 2 of Arkansas and Kentucky, Cal versus Kentucky, but it's not going to have the same juice that it did a year ago. Nothing can top that, but at least still have a good amount. And now it just feels like Kentucky's gone through so much crap and like their fans are pissed to where it's almost such a more of an afterthought than I ever thought it would be of, oh, it's Cal again and Kentucky and Arkansas again. It just doesn't have it because they're almost like so worried and concerned about what's going on with their own program that it just doesn't have the same animosity and tension that I was hoping for.
Yeah, I think I'm with you from that standpoint because, I mean, let's be clear here. Arkansas fans do not care what's going on with Kentucky. Like when Kentucky walks into Bud Walton Arena on Saturday, it's going to be an absolute madhouse. I mean, it's going to be crazy. They've had this one circled for a while for obvious reasons. Everybody saw how the Razorbacks and Cal and DJ and all those guys were treated when they went back to Lexington last year. So from that moment on, it was like, all right, whenever they come to Bud Walton Arena, it's on. And so it doesn't matter how good Kentucky is, how good Arkansas is. That was going to happen anyway. But yeah, it's the back and forth of it that we're going to miss out on a little bit, I think, unfortunately. We'll see. The one thing I've noticed about Kentucky is that everybody, they react in the moment to things that happen. And so that's fine. But they're very, very much operating in the extremes from, hey, you beat Ole Miss at home and it's, well, you know what? Mark Pope's doing a fantastic job. Maybe this team will make a Final Four after all. To you get your doors blown off by Vanderbilt and it's kill the program. This has been a horrific season. Everything that happened up to this point was fake. But every time they get closer to game day, you'll start seeing on Friday. It's like, I still believe in Mark Pope and this basketball team. They'll be fired up by the time it gets here, but we won't have the fun the next few days we want to.
Yeah, I do trust that is going to happen. That there will be the kind of, you know what, this Arkansas team's not unbeatable. Like we can go in there and do this. And like, listen, we need a signature win. There will be some sort of belief. The alternative would be just admitting defeat on the whole thing and being like, hey, we fired the wrong coach, or not even fired the wrong coach, pushed the wrong coach out, hired the wrong coach. And like you said, a lot of them are doing the thing where it's like, no, Cal actually did suck and he does still suck. But Mark Pope was just worse, which I don't know if that's like how that makes you feel better, but it is just going to be very interesting to see. I'm also interested to see what Cal, his comments publicly. Obviously, he spoke a little bit last night. I'm sure he'll be asked about it again. I'm sure there will be some type of messaging about the Kentucky situation, about his thoughts and his emotions. And I'm sure he and the team are going to downplay it, but we're going to know on Saturday, like if there's a little bit extra juice, if there was maybe a little bit of a rah-rah speech, if there was something there, because I think this only works if Arkansas takes care of business. If Arkansas takes care of business, we get to sit back and have a lot of big picture conversations about where both programs stand and sort of the overall mark here, but you just cannot ignore this very big piece on Saturday. And so I think there's a little bit of saving their bullets. They're not going to do the victory lap right now. You're just going to kind of play coy. Oh, yeah, Mark Pope's a great guy. We love Kentucky. There's no animosity, yada, yada, yada. And then on Saturday, if they take care of business and get the job done, I think you'll see a little bit of that edge and that emotion.
Well, and I think that I know that people have like tweeted about it where it's like they're trying to make the comparison almost like, hey, Kentucky is in the situation Arkansas was in last year, and Arkansas is in the situation that Kentucky was in last year, where one team's flying high and the other team's not any good. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we can say that, but it's not. Kentucky's still 5-3 in the SEC, and now I know it's not this like incredible record, but like Arkansas was 1-6, where they had lost to Oklahoma and LSU. Like it was not the same situation, and that's where I think it's like kind of a different way of looking at it, where you have two teams that, again, I think everybody can be in agreement that Arkansas is a better team. Arkansas is in a better position. Arkansas's got a better ceiling and everything. But I just don't get the thing of, oh, well, if Kentucky has to win this game or else they're out of the NCAA tournament or anything like that. It's like they want to win, and I think they will, put it together a little bit. But it's just, I don't think we can compare it to last year. It's just like a different situation. It's a different circumstance. And even last year with Cal in year one, I don't think anybody was being like, Cal sucks. He's not any good, other than Kentucky fans. It's like, this is never going to work out. This is going to be terrible. It's just, I'm just wondering, kind of like what you guys alluded to, is like, what is Kentucky's mindset going to be? Are they broken? Are they going to be done for? Are they going to just roll over and die? Are they going to make this game mean a little bit more? Are they going to do the 1, 2, 3 touch money thing again? Like, I mean, just like if that's where their mindset at, I'll tell you this: any game that Kentucky ends up doing 1, 2, 3 touch money as a team, they're going to lose. So I kind of hope that they do that before this game.
That was brutal. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, the touch money, that's a bad look before you walk out there and get popped by Vanderbilt the way that they did. That was interesting, the tunnel interaction there. Andrew and I got to see the interaction between the two teams at Oklahoma last night. They both came out of the same tunnel. They were standing right beside each other. Arkansas was a vibe out there. They had the boom box. You remember the dude from McNeese, Will Wade's little assistant that was carrying the boom box in March Madness? It was like that. I don't know who the guy was that had it. And Carter Knox was fired up. Ronnie Brewer Jr. was getting the team going and everything. And Oklahoma guys were just standing like 10 feet behind him, like, okay, guess we're gonna go play a basketball game now. It was really interesting seeing that from Kentucky, the 1, 2, 3 touch money thing. I was like, oh no, that's a tough one and it's not even a stereotype. Like it's like public information or whatever that's been put out there that they have this huge payroll. So literally all of those guys are touching money, but they're not touching enough dubs to justify that payment. That's crazy. But you're right, John. Like, last year Arkansas was really, really going through it. Kentucky's it's not dire straits like that. They're just mid. That's what they are. I mean, they're better than the poor teams in the SEC, and they're beating them all. They're not as good as the elite teams in the SEC. They lose them all. And so it's like that middle ground. Where do they find themselves in that pecking order? They're still going to probably make the NCAA tournament and, win several more games here or whatever. But 1 year we'll get it to where both of these teams are rolling. And I'm looking forward to that day whenever it happens.
Yeah, and we were so close.
I know,
I mean, just
man.
one win last night, and we would have had that. But yeah, that Arkansas-Oklahoma tunnel, it felt like a scene out of The Office, where it's like you're just kind of – it's a little bit awkward there. But, guys, I don't want to be too dramatic, and I hope I don't sound stupid when I'm saying this, but, like, the touch money thing I think is a really big deal, not in that, like, that's why they lost or whatever, but – playing for money is, and playing to feed your family and playing to, better your life and all that. That is a very common motivation for basketball players all over the world, whether you're hooping overseas, whether you're in the G League, whether you're just in college trying to grind it out and trying to get to the next level. It's completely normal to have that mindset as a player. I just think it's weird to do that as a team to where you're all kind of doing the, hey, we're here to get paid thing, because to your point, they've already been paid a lot. So if you're here to touch money, then is the job done? Because you've already touched a lot of money at Kentucky. But I also think it kind of speaks to what Pope has talked about publicly and what you see when you watch Kentucky play. It is a collection of individuals. They don't really move the ball a ton. I would imagine they are in the bottom 5 of the SEC in ball movement, in assist rate, in all these things. They're a collection of individuals. And so I think as we come to this game in Bud Walton Arena, one of the best things Arkansas has done at home is their assist rate and their assist to turnover and all that through the roof at home. Last night was actually one of the first examples of them actually sharing the ball on the road at a really high level. I think that has to be a big part of it, where it's like when you're a Razorback playing Saturday in front of what's going to be a crazy crowd, it's not just you on the court. It's not just you in that building. It's not just you in that locker room. Like, you've got your whole squad, and Arkansas is playing like a real actual team. And that's kind of the theme that every coach is trying to get his team to play with. I think that's going to be a big factor in this game is when you get teams on the road, it's natural to start playing with a individual's mindset. And Arkansas has done that a little bit too. I think if Arkansas can get Kentucky to kind of lean into that and force them into some one-on-one battles, they're not talented enough to win those one-on-one battles consistently enough to win this game. I think that's how you have a recipe for a serious blowout.
Well, and I'll also throw in, going back to the whole thing of the 1-2-3 touch money. Maybe I'm looking at it too in deep, but like, if I'm a coach, if I'm Mark Pope, and there's obviously bigger fish to fry, but it's like if I hear my team kind of doing that, I'm like, nah, guys, that's not what we're doing. Like that's, or at least just try to, maybe establish your own thing of like before that even gets there. But like when you hear this stuff, and again, when you get dominated on top of that, it's a worse look. Because if they would have won last night, we're not even discussing it. It's probably not even a thing. But it's just kind of like, I don't know. I get the vibe that it was one of those things to where they did it maybe once. I don't know if this is the first time they did it, but whenever they did it, and Pope or staff or somebody like heard it, they're like, so 1-2-3 touch money, huh? All right, okay, hey, that's cool, guys. That's whatever you need to do. It's kind of like you're just kind of letting it happen. It doesn't seem like there's just. It goes back to my whole big picture about Mark Pope. I just feel like he's got a roster and a talent of a bunch of individuals that's come together, and he just has no idea how to handle it. He has no idea. He might be a great coach. He might be great X's and O's and all that, but it goes back to the difference between Cal and Pope. Cal knows how to handle talent, ego, like he said last night when he's like, 61st round picks, $6 billion, like just, casual, like he knows how to handle it. And Pope, as good of a coach as he may even be, I just don't think he knows how to handle the personalities and the approaches of all of this, where he just seems so in over his head right now.
I think he got away from himself a little bit with this roster. And it doesn't mean that he can't figure it out enough to where they win enough games to, do some of the things they want to do. But, Cal, to your point, he's the type of guy that can just go get a bunch of talent and then figure it out. And okay, let's build this thing around them. What's going to make this group successful? Mark Pope doesn't seem like he's really that guy. That's what he tried to do. They went out and spent a bunch of money, got a bunch of dudes, probably overcorrected on some areas that they struggled with last year. But it's a team that does not fit his style of coaching at all. And so that adjustment for him has been pretty difficult. The touch money thing, I think about Cal and his press conferences a lot. Like when Arkansas does something stupid, Cal likes to go to the press conference and bring it up and then say, why would you do that? Why? That's where I'm at with this touch money thing. It comes across as very tone deaf to me. And they're two completely different situations. I understand, but the lack of awareness is what I'm getting at with the comparison here. It reminds me of the whole Alabama thing a couple years ago, and they do their starting lineups and they announce Brandon Miller and they go out there and do the pat him down, thing in the introductions. And it's like, wow, that was really stupid. That was really tone deaf. How did that happen? Everybody knows this situation. That was a really poor move. And then so you look at Kentucky and it's like everybody's crushing you because of your payroll or whatever on your roster and underachieving relative to the amount of money these dudes are getting paid. And so you're going to get in a huddle with cameras on you and go 1-2-3 touch money and then go get your butt kicked by Vanderbilt. It's just a bad look for them. So, and they had kind of been rolling. They had won 5 straight. Cal was right in what he said last night. Like they've been playing a lot better. That was going on while they were getting pounded by that's the context here. Cal didn't know what that score was at the time. But as that clip started circulating, it was perfect timing to where Kentucky fans were seeing it as Vanderbilt was 30-balling them going, good grief, man. What is he trolling us? What's going on here? That part of it was kind of funny.
Yeah. And I remember, I don't remember what game it would have been, maybe their first conference loss or something. But I think the Kentucky guys were really mad because all their players were like posting their highlights on Instagram after the game. After a loss, they were posting their highlight clips and being like, hell yeah, scored 16 points. Let's go. And so it's like, I think this is a common theme that we've seen with this Kentucky team, and it's kind of become a story of their season a little bit. And to tie this back to the Arkansas side, it's why when you're at home on Saturday, given the context of everything, one, just another, I think, what are they, top 35 in net or something like that, another opportunity against a team that has a good resume for you to take care of business at home. We talked a little bit about whether or not Arkansas's if they had lost last night, would that have been quote unquote unacceptable? I would lean towards maybe yes. I think losing Saturday for the Arkansas Razorbacks is kind of unacceptable. You beat that same Vanderbilt team by 150 at home. You beat Tennessee by 15 at home. You've had some real signature wins at home against better competition. Why would you lay an egg here in this Kentucky game? And, as we kind of move forward and we try to decide whether or not we can trust this Razorback team to show up in big moments, whether or not we can trust this Razorback team to just do their job any given night, this is another nice little test for them. This is how you build that trust with your fan base. We have a very clear opportunity where we've invited all our friends into town. We are trying to make you look cool in front of the cool kids. Look cool. Just do your job and win the game. I really think there's going to be a lot of talk about the Kentucky side of this. And, I'm sure some Hog fans are going to hear that and say, oh, I don't like that. I don't like us overlooking Kentucky. You're right. You have this would be a pretty brutal loss for Arkansas if they lost Saturday, given all of the context of these circumstances surrounding.
Well, and there's something I want to bring up to that point that you brought up, Andrew, and dealing with the Razorbacks. But before we do, I want to remind everybody that Blue Ember Smokehouse is one of our great sponsors here at Inside Arkansas. And a great thing about Blue Ember Smokehouse, they're rolling out some new items starting today. That's right. They got some new items that you need to check out at one of their 6 locations. It's called the Smokehouse, which is a family-sized meal that'll feed 4 to 6 people. They also have the court-side size sides that is perfect for sharing in small groups. And here's the thing that's really cool: potato chips. Like, who doesn't love a good old-fashioned potato chip? Well, they have it in the original flavor as well as mango habanero flavors. So they got some new items over there at Blue Ember. They're always rolling out different things and trying to make it the best that they possibly can. And I'm telling you, it's going to be something that when you check it out and you try it for the first time, it's going to be awesome. We're going to be there actually a week from today. That's right. A week from today, we're going to be live at the Rogers location there at Blue Ember Smokehouse. So be sure to come on by next Wednesday, or if you can't wait that much longer, if you have to have this great, amazing handcrafted smoked barbecue right now, then check out one of their 6 locations, whether it's in Fort Smith, Jonesboro, Texarkana, Little Rock, Hot Springs, or Rogers. It's Blue Ember Smokehouse here in Arkansas. Now, you brought it up, Andrew, about like the idea of being unacceptable kind of to lose to Kentucky. Now, I'm going to preface this with it's a positive to feel this way. This is not a negative. This is a positive to feel this way. I'm going through the rest of the Arkansas schedule. I'm not overlooking anybody, but I'm getting to the point where I'm like, there's only maybe 2 games on this schedule left where I'm like, yeah, that could probably maybe be a loss. But it's getting to the point where I'm like, no, that's not a game you should lose. Like Mississippi State. No, I don't care if it's on the road. Shouldn't lose it. I don't care. LSU on the road. Shouldn't lose it. Don't care. Playing A&M at home. Don't care. Shouldn't lose it. Missouri at home. Don't care. Shouldn't lose it. Like, that's how I'm getting to the point. And it's not a bad thing. I know it's a crazy concept for Razorback fans. That's not overlooking. That's not being arrogant. That's honestly just having a high expectation for a high expectation team. And that's where I feel like as we're getting along with this, and we know that they're not gonna, it'd be great if they go undefeated the rest of the way and win every game. I don't think that's likely to really happen, but it's just nice to be able to have that approach and feel somewhat confident in it, where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna be upset if they lose to Mississippi State on the road. I'm gonna be upset if they end the final game of the season against Missouri on the road in a loss. Like, I'm gonna be upset by that. Not because I'm over the top or ridiculous or expecting too much. It's because that's how good this team is, and that's what should be expected out of them, because that's what they expect out of themselves too.
Yeah, for sure, man. And going into this game, it's not even about the Kentucky factor so much for me. Like, obviously you don't want it to happen or whatever, but when you're the last undefeated team standing at home in the SEC, I'm going to be really upset with any, home loss at this point. When you've beaten Louisville in there, when Louisville had Michael Brown and they had a pulse, and you beaten Tennessee in there by double digits, and you did what you did to Vanderbilt, and you had the blowout of South Carolina, some of these other games in there. They've looked so good at home. If they get popped at Bud Walton Arena, yeah, I'm going to be really upset, because that's kind of what we've been hanging our hat on as they figure out things on the road. It's like, well, they look like like the national championship was played in Bud Walton Arena. They'd be cutting down the nets for sure. So yeah, anything that happens at home that doesn't end in a victory for Arkansas, whether it's a difficult game or an easy game, would be really upsetting. But yeah, you're right, man. It's okay to feel that way. Make no mistake, Arkansas is still very much a work in progress. Okay, they got some stuff that they still got to figure out. They got to keep tightening it up defensively. They got to stop having these. They get off to a better start, but they got to stop having these stretches on the road where they lose their damn minds. They got to be more consistent from game to game. Everybody's kind of striving for that stuff here, but when you look up and you're ranked in the top 15 in the country, and you're 16-5, and you're 6-2, and you're tied in the win column for first in the SEC, but you're half game back right now, and you're about to the midway point of SEC play, yeah, you should have high expectations for what you're doing moving forward. And you're right, we're getting to the point where Arkansas won 7 games in the last 3 Januaries combined. If they win Saturday, they've won 7 in this month of January alone. These are uncharted waters for Razorback fans. We don't know how to act when the team is playing well at this stage in the season. But the way that you act is you got a pretty good squad. And when you're playing teams that you're favored against, especially in your own building, you go into it with every expectation of winning the game. And if you don't, it's fine to be pissed about it.
Yeah, we run into this a lot in our line of work because there's such an obsession with being right and, old takes exposed, which is a great Twitter account that is awesome. I think it has ruined the brains of sports fans a little bit where like they are on the hunt for that kind of thing. I mean, Curtis is literally tweeting, minute by minute updates of the game, and people are trying to old takes exposed him when he's like, hey, yeah, Arkansas is, not down by 10 right now. And then later they're like, oh, update. It's like a very weird thing we do. And so I'm sure that we're going to go into this Kentucky game saying, hey, Arkansas should win this game. They're at home. They're the more talented team. They're the more well-rounded team. They're the better team. All of the above. They've had play better to this point. They should win this game. And then, of course, if they don't, we're going to have that other end of like, oh, well, you guys were hyping them up and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, we're not the wrong ones here. If Arkansas loses to Kentucky on Saturday, that is a huge issue, and it should be treated as such. It's all about expectations here. We are not wrong, and you are not wrong to expect Arkansas to beat a team that they're better than at home. If they don't, that then causes us to have a conversation about why did this happen? What does this mean? Is Arkansas worse than we thought? Are they trending in a bad direction? And we will gladly have those conversations because we're here every day to face the music no matter what. But a lot of times we get into this weird song and dance in this game of like trying to, check people for feeling how they feel. And I'm not saying that Arkansas like couldn't lose to Kentucky. I'm just saying like it's not a crazy premise to be like, hey, this 16-5 team that's undefeated at home and that is more talented at every single position should probably win the game on Saturday. And if they don't, we're going to have to face that music. We're going to have to deal with that. But I don't think we have to go back in hindsight and be like, wow, so that was actually crazy to expect Arkansas to win at home.
Well, and I think what some, not all fans have to look at it from is like you mentioned, you're a top 15 team. You take care of Kentucky this weekend, maybe you move up a few spots. If you take care of business next week, which I know is, hey, you got 2 road games, or I guess you have a bye week, however you want to call it. But still, point is that you have a chance, legitimately, realistic chance to jump into the top 10 here in the next couple of weeks, which is something that you haven't done very often, at least haven't done in a long time. Now, here's what's my favorite thing about this. We've seen Arkansas in the top 10 in basketball under Muss for a little bit, but that was really early in the season. We saw Arkansas in the top 10 in football. Guys, stop traffic. This happened, folks. Arkansas was top 10 in football just a few years ago, early in the season. This would be something that you've actually earned, not where it's like, oh, we still don't know. No, you earned that spot to be in the top 10 because you have already showcased the team you are and how good you are. You're not perfect. You make mistakes. Last night was frustrating at times. Like, you're not perfect, but it's not like this. Oh, well, you're there because you had one big win that jumped you up there and other teams lost in front of you. And by default, it's like, no, you've earned that spot. And that's where my expectation has come into, to where it's not so early in the year when people are still trying to, oh, I don't know, maybe not. It's like, no, you've done this already. And because of that, that's where my expectation, it's like same thing with Razorback baseball. If Razorback baseball goes up against a team if Arkansas is a top 5 team at the time and they go up against, Missouri on the road or something like that, I'm going to be like, if Arkansas loses this, I'm pissed and this is unacceptable. It's like that, but that's the expectation that comes with it. And I'm just glad that they've earned it this time around instead of just by default, they've been given it.
Yeah. I would agree with that, man. I don't know. I'm looking forward to this one. I really am. I just really do wish that Kentucky would have got that one done last night. It just feels like it would have been at an absolute fever pitch. But these guys are dialed in. Here's my thing. Cal saying what he said last night about basically, he didn't feel like there would be the same emotion and everything next game on the schedule. Malik Thomas said the same thing. He was asked about it. It was like, yeah, it's the next game. We need to be stacking wins. whatever you got to do to be motivated to come out and play with your hair on fire. You know what I mean? Like if Bud Walton Arena is going to be the hornet's nest, then you as a team need to be the buzzsaw that matches that, because that place was on fire last weekend for that LSU game. And the only people on the floor that came ready for a fight was LSU. And we saw that at home, and that was dangerous. And it was one of those deals where the crowd kind of helped will them over the top there. You don't want to be in that situation in this game. I remember when Eric Musselman got the job, his first huge game at Bud Walton Arena was that Kentucky game that Cal wound up getting ejected from, and they wound up losing. Shout out to Kenny Payne. But he talked about that for a couple years after of, he felt like they got so caught up in the hype and the not like reading the headlines and everything, but you could just feel the moment. And they almost came out and went too hard early, and they had jelly legs at the end of the game. Sometimes that stuff can happen to you, and you got to be able to be prepared and focused for that moment. So on one hand, I'm like, man, I hope that they really, if you need to get yourself fired up by saying, man, they booed DJ for 3.5 hours in there, the things that they said to him, no, we're going to go get one for our guy. You see what BBN's been saying about Cal? No, we got to rally for the Gipper here. But I think it's about managing your emotions and just staying kind of locked in. Muss had a hard time with that. He talked about it so much, but Cal's kind of the master of it because he's been facing that for however long. Like the target's always been on his back. It's kind of new for Arkansas, but it's not new for him. I wonder what that approach is going to look like because they've had some big home games here. They've had some awesome crowds. This one is going to be different. It's going to be a different situation and a different type of feel in there than what any of these guys have experienced before. It's more difficult to be the road team coming in and facing that, but you got to be able to handle it yourself as the home team.
Yeah, it kind of comes back to what we were speaking about going into the Oklahoma game of if you have this sliding scale of motivation, whether that's, you get up for the big ones or you get down for that is dangerous. And that is a bad thing that you have to kind of get out of your system, especially as you get closer to March, because as we know, when you're in the NCAA tournament, it doesn't matter who that seed is or where they're coming from or what conference they played in or which players on the other team, it's the NCAA tournament. It's must win, survive and advance. As you get closer to March, I feel like your team's mentality, your team's personality should start to reflect that of, hey, we're playing for something bigger. And when Arkansas was playing Oklahoma last night, I thought that was a big factor in the game, underrated, was that Arkansas has a lot to play for. They're playing for an NCAA tournament. They're playing for an SEC title. They're playing to go to the play in the NBA. We have a lot of guys on this team who have very high standards of what they want to accomplish as a team, as an individual, as a group, as brothers. And I didn't feel like Oklahoma had that. And I don't know if that's the reason why in the final 4 minutes, Arkansas played better than they did or they dug deeper. I don't really know. But I do think as you're going into this Kentucky game, that's another thing is Arkansas's getting ready for March. Arkansas is getting ready to go on a run. Will they, won't they? I don't know, but that's what you're getting ready to do. That's what you're practicing for. And so I think you're at that time of year where it's you shouldn't be over the top amped because it's Kentucky. You're just playing in front of 19,000 fans that paid money to see you. And, there's scouts in the building. This is going to count on the record. That should be enough. And I do think we're getting closer and closer to where that is going to be just enough for this team. And I think also they like playing together. And that's another thing is when you're in these battles, when you're in these wars, you're looking around at your guys that you've been doing this with all year round. And I think this Razorback team is starting to figure out one another a little bit more and figure out, hey, what do these guys need in these moments? Acuff, by the way, as a floor general, has a very good pulse on, hey, this guy needs to get going. Oh, we need to get some action going here. They seem to kind of be looking out for each other, and they're going into this with a good mindset. And, at home, it's gone pretty well for them. So, yeah, I do think that's going to be Arkansas's morality and they're how much they're getting excited for these games. I hope we stop having these conversations in a couple weeks.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to talk about Darius Acuff again because he's just been that good. But before we do that, though, we want to remind you something that's just as good, too, which is our Drain Masters of Arkansas, which we know that plumbing and drain cleaning are something that nobody wants to deal with. It's something that you almost take for granted. It's never a problem until it becomes a problem. Well, when it becomes a problem, you need it fixed immediately. You need to get it taken care of immediately, and that's what the Drain Masters of Arkansas are going to do for you, whether it's in the Northwest Arkansas area, the River Valley, the entire state of Arkansas, as well as this entire state of Oklahoma and beyond. They're going to be ready to handle all plumbing and drain cleaning needs with professional and reliable service. So to request a service today, give them a call today at 479-646-5585. That's 479-646-5585. Or you can scan that QR code right there on your screen, and it'll take you right to their website to where you can request a service that way too. And when you do, be sure to tell them that Inside Arkansas sent you, because whenever you tell them that Inside Arkansas sent you, you get 10% off all your services. That's right, 10% off all of their services, no matter how big the job is. They're going to take care of you. So anything and everything plumbing related, no job is too big or too small. Drain Masters of Arkansas has you covered. Okay, so speaking of Darius Acuff, I don't know if you guys knew, he's pretty good. He pretty much gets asked about the question. Cal's like, hey, just what do you think about Acuff? What do you think about Acuff? And I know that you retweeted this too, Curtis, but this was a little fun little graphic that I saw that the Field of 68 put out, where it was basically ranking and looking at the point guards of the John Calipari era, where it mentions their points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game, turnovers a game, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, steals, as well as minutes per game. And first off, I think we all kind of look at that and like, yeah, he's had some pretty good point guards. He's had some pretty good players. They're not too bad. But when you look at the numbers, man, I'm sure people will debate it and talk about it, but it's pretty cool to see Darius Acuff leading the way in quite a few of those statistical categories overall.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. He's been phenomenal, and I know a lot of people take exception to this, but I think you just got to understand the context. We can't evaluate Darius Acuff's life achievements as a basketball player relative to these other guys because he's just now getting started. He's in the middle of his freshman season, right? Because a lot of people look at that and be like, "Oh, what do you mean? He's no Tyree. He's no Derrick Rose." Well, yeah, he hasn't had a chance to go win an MVP yet. He's not there. He's not at that stage. So you got to take it into the context of what he is doing on the college basketball floor right now. And so statistically speaking, yeah, he really stands out. He really pops. That's why it's fair to have these conversations. Anybody who's acting like it's like this is just it's crazy, it's nonsense to even be mentioning him in the same breath as these other guys. No, it's not. Look at it. And look at what he's doing. And I understand, and I said this yesterday, there's context involved with every single one of these guys because they were on different teams in different situations. Some of them were playing with 3 other first-round picks in the starting lineup. You had to share the sugar a little bit more. Absolutely, all that stuff is valid, but this is not discounting anybody else so much as it's, hey, let's talk about Acuff for what he is here, which is a very, very special player in the midst of a special season. And 10 years down the road, maybe we can have that conversation about the best Calipari guard of all time when we can see what he's done in the NBA or something, if that's the context that we're using. But you can't prop everybody else up on that when Acuff hasn't even had that opportunity yet.
Yeah, and I'm with you that it's just there's no sense in having that conversation because, listen, I think it's like I personally, I don't think Darius Acuff is going to reach the heights that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has reached as, an MVP.
Probably not.
You know what I mean? Which is perfectly fine. So if if that's what you want to do and say, hey, let's do it right now. Let's rank them all based on how good their pro careers will finish out. We can do that. And we can, argue over 1, 2, 3 or whatever. But right now at college, which we have a lot of data for, if we're doing this college conversation of just who is the better college player, it's really hard to make an argument against Darius Acuff. You could do it. And I will even hear it out of, hey, De'Aaron Fox, he was really good and he was a better defender and he had other guys on his team, whatever. But you would at least concede that it's a very close 50-50 at best argument that really probably leans toward Darius Acuff. Same would go for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or, Tyler Ulis, by the way, who literally might be one of the top 3 guys on this list. That's the funniest thing when I look at this graphic is of all these talented guys, of all these, superhuman athletes and great talents that have had long pro careers, Tyler Ulis played the most minutes per game under John Calipari out of all these dudes.
Yeah, and had the most assists and one of the least amount of turnovers. He 7 assists to 2 turnovers per game is pretty good as far as the ratio goes there for Tyler Ulis. But that's the deal is if you just look at the numbers themselves, there are players on this list that have a higher, for instance, a higher steal percentage or more minutes played that have more assists. But if it's just you look at and combine it and put it all together, just going off the numbers, it's Darius Acuff is the best player on this team. If you just took the names off of it and looked at it just from the numbers perspective, yeah, Acuff's the best one. But like you guys said, that doesn't mean that he hasn't ascended to where he needs to be, so it's hard to say in these regards. And plus, he's still playing. Like, he's still got a season left. He could, it could be. It's a lot different to where, say, if he has all these numbers and they lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament, I don't care what anybody says, it's going to be a lot different if he has the same numbers, but then they go to the national championship or win the national championship. Like, there's a vast difference in that. And I think that there's also, things like clutch plays late, which I know he's been making. He made them last night. Like, there's a lot of other factors that he can really ascend to. But I just love the fact that there was such a high expectation for this guy. And not only is he living up to it, but he's living up to it and then some, because I think he's even exceeding the expectation that I had for him at this point in time.
Oh, well, hell yeah.
What's crazy is, so Derrick Rose is one that I look at and I say, man, that's one you could really make a good argument, because Derrick Rose took Memphis to the national title game, and that factors into the discussion. You remember when we were talking about Indiana before the playoff, and we were like, well, we don't think they're going to win the title, but man, if this Indiana team won the playoff, all of a sudden we'd be saying this is one of the 3 best teams in the history of college football. And then now that it played out, it's kind of easy to say, damn, this might be one of the 3 best teams in the history of college football. I'm not saying we should do that right now with Darius Acuff, but I do think if Arkansas were to go to a Final Four, at that point, it would be a locked up, like, no doubt about it, Darius Acuff is one of the greatest college basketball players ever, like literally ever. You would put him up there with all of those great freshmen of all time. And I think there are a lot of people nationally and otherwise that are waiting until that happens to declare him a very good player. And I'm just not. I'm not saying he will guaranteed go to the Final Four or whatever, but I'm not going to wait until he wins 4 tournament games to then give him his flowers. Like, he is that level of player. We'll see if he ends up being on that level of team.
I just also hope he's not held to the expectation where if he has like a bad game or something, I was like, yep, see, told you, this is how he is. He's not as good. It's like, because it's like he hasn't really had a bad game. I mean, he's had some games where hasn't been as good, but if you just like look at it from the perspective of this was just a terrible game, he hasn't had one of those, and I hope he doesn't. I won't predict that he will, but if he does, I don't want to say worried or concerned, but it's just going to be really annoying when people, national people or opposed, they're like, see, yeah, told you. This is why we haven't said he's the best point guard, because this game he only had 11 points and 2 assists and 3 turnovers. It's like, that's when I'm real. It's almost like people are just waiting for them to have a bad game, so that way they could be like, see, this is why we didn't believe in the hype just yet, and that's really going to piss me off when it happens.
Like, what was his? Wow, I'm looking at his box scores now. Like, he's been really, really good for a long time here. I'm like, when's the last time that he kind of sucked? Because we talked about it after he get like 17.6 assists on somebody. And we're like, he was just okay in this game or whatever. He scored in double digits in every single game. He had 10 points and 2 assists against Jackson State.
Garbage.
That's his worst line of the season. Everything else has just been absurd for him. Some games more assists than others or whatever. But, I mean, my goodness, he's been good, and he's been efficient doing it. And he's getting better defensively, by the way. He is.
Yeah. Oklahoma, I thought, we talked a lot about the toughness that Arkansas showed last night. I thought Malik and Acuff showed a lot of toughness in that regard, because Oklahoma was going at those guys. Like, they were making them work on defense, and then they would come back on offense even more pissed off and go right back at them. I love that. Did I read a stat that said that Acuff has not scored fewer than 17 points since pre-Thanksgiving?
Yeah. That's true.
That's unreal. And I think that lack of variance is maybe the most impressive part, because, this is a 6'2", 6'3" guard. You think about whoever the best small guards are in college basketball, like Trae Young, for example, had an unbelievable 1 year at Oklahoma, and he obviously went on to have a pretty good NBA career before now he's getting traded or whatever. But even Trae Young, if you go look at his Oklahoma game log, there's a lot of variance. There are some games where he didn't shoot it well, and it's, he's 4 of 15 today. You look at Michael Brown, who's a legitimate first-round pick, by the way. He's had a lot of variance in his games. You catch him on the right night, he's scoring 30. You catch him on the wrong night, he's scoring 10. Malik Thomas has a little bit of that in his game. There's some variance. The fact that Acuff has no variance in his game, despite being a smaller guard who's not this super explosive athlete, I think it tells you a little bit about just the skill and the mentality and the makeup that is just a really advanced that we haven't seen for really any Razorback player in a while, let alone a freshman.
Yes, a lot of these other guys who might have not scored less than 17 since Thanksgiving or whatever. They're chuckers, man. Like the Josh Hubbards of the world out there who are super inefficient, but hey, I took 28 shots to get to my 17 points or whatever. And yeah, Acuff's been so efficient. I'm just looking at his shot stats over on Torvik, and the only thing he's in the red in, so like below average, is his dunks. He's 6 of 9, nice. But he's 64% at the rim. To your point, for a 6'2" guard there, he's shooting 46% on that mid range. That is a good shot for him, and he's shooting 41% from 3-point range. It's like the only thing we really look at Acuff and we're like, wow, it feels like he should be maybe a little bit better than that. Is free throws, and he's 78.5% at the line. So I don't know, man. He's been pretty impressive.
Yeah, and that's what just makes me laugh about it. Is like, I understand if people are very, wait and see on some things, but sometimes you just got to be, all right, this is that guy that he's just the best, and he's doing it at a level to where it's like, because that's my thing. I've always found it fascinating with any sort of sport. If it's football, basketball, baseball, whatever, it's like if you know the other team has one player that's really good. Yeah, they have other good players too, but like one guy that's like that guy, and you know that, and you game plan and you put together ideas, and you still can't stop him. To me, that's also just another indication of what's his greatest. It's not like Oklahoma and Porter Moser last night were just like, geez, we knew we were this Acuff guy who's fairly good, but we had no idea that he could do that. It's like, no, everyone knows what he's capable of. It's just you can't stop him, and in the efficiencies there. So, I mean, again, I want to continue to remind people it's a pleasure to watch him and enjoy it while he's here, because he's only going to be here for probably, hopefully, at least 15 more games, 16 more games, something like that.
Yeah, whatever that math is. Yeah.
Yeah. At least 10 more regular season games. And then we'll go from there. But we'll get to your chats, folks. Appreciate everybody tuning in. But want to remind everybody that the official law firm of Inside Arkansas here is Hickey Hull Law. We know that anytime that you need any sort of legal advice and representation, they're the best ones in the business to go with, especially here in the state of Arkansas, because there's certain cases that are going to be just a little bit more important. They're going to mean a lot more, and that are much more crucial to being able to have people help you out, like divorce and custody cases, because these are dealing with family. These are dealing with very particular things that you care about the most, and they are the best in the business at letting it happen, because they have handled thousands of family law cases and have experienced nearly every single scenario that has ever come up. And they understand that's crucial to their clients to keep them updated on their cases, and that they are available to provide advice and counsel throughout the process. So they will take time to meet with the clients, respond to emails, and always return your calls. So have Hickey Hull Law help you out. They have offices across the state of Arkansas in Fayetteville, Fort Smith, Little Rock, and Mena. You can call them today at 479-434-2414. That's 479-434-2414. Or you can check out their website at hickeyandhull.com. You can scan that QR code right there on your screen. It's Hickey Hull Law. Things are about to get better. All right, so let's go ahead and get to your chats. I'm sure they're great ones, folks. I'm sure you've all been very nice today, but super chats get read first, as we all know. That's how that works. So Hickory Hog says, no overthinking this, fellas. It's time for the good team just to go and beat the bad team. Whoop that cat emoji. No sympathy for that pathetic fan base and program, except for maybe you, Cats 21. Man.
I think it's time for the better team playing at home to just, make it clear that they're the better team. I really don't. I love to, give Kentucky trouble. They're not a bad team. They're just massively underachieving what were very lofty expectations, and they're not getting return on their investment financially. But they're not bad. They're still a tournament team. They're better than LSU, who pushed you to the final minute the other day. So I don't want to get too carried away with it here, but there's no reason why Arkansas shouldn't be able to handle business at Bud Walton.
Yeah, in terms of the feeling sympathy for the Kentucky fan base thing, I definitely and Quinn brought up the term online fan base the other day, talking about some other fan base. I think that's an important distinction. The online fan base, I definitely don't feel bad for, unless their mom comes down and turns off their internet in their basement or whatever. But I do actually kind of feel some sympathy for the actual Kentucky fans in Lexington, but those are not the ones we hear from, so we don't have to worry about them.
Exactly right. By the way, I just saw this real quick. Speaking of Kentucky, I'm sure you guys saw this too, but the fact that the 20-point losses by Kentucky since 1985 and 86, John Calipari has 5 of those when he was the head coach there, but he was there for 15 years. He had 5 of them. Mark Pope's got 4 already.
Yikes.
20-point losses. Yeah, because remember that was the whole graphic that they'd always make. It took Mark Pope 18 games to do this, and Cal's. How about where's that graphic? Field of 68. Yeah, where's that one?
I did see
20-point
that
losses.
may or may not have been fabricated stats. And I know he's had a lot of 20-point losses or whatever, but I think someone was saying because it had like 0 for Tubby Smith, and they were like he definitely lost like at least 3 20-point games. So it may have been some ChatGPT errors there.
Man, well, if that's the case, then I don't care.
Old Matt Jones had some bangers in there last night. It's like every was it was like we were reading it last night. Something about every ranked opponent or something they faced this year. They've been down by at least 15. I don't know, crazy stuff going on over there. And I know they were doing the cardiac cats thing for a minute where they were making some comebacks, and that was a hole too deep. They got that Vanderbilt last night.
Yeah, the stat, I think maybe this is one you're referring to. He said Kentucky has played 8 games on the road or a neutral site this year. They've been down double digits in all of them, and they have been down 17 in 7 of the 8. So it's like basically it's like when they lose or when they're down, like they get down bad really quickly there.
Man, something.
Hate it. Hate to see it really. Let's see. Where was it at? Oh, Brandon said Cal trolled the crap out of BBN, and I love it. You think that's what he was doing last night? Was he trolling?
I don't think it came across as a troll. I really don't think it was intentional, because in real time, because we were getting the updates from John at the press conference while people in our post-game chat were updating us saying it's 29-12 Vanderbilt. Like that game had just started. And so I think he was being genuine. He was like, man, they were struggling. Now they won 5 in a row. He's doing a really good job over there. He didn't know yet that they were taking an epic beatdown from Vanderbilt. But I'm fine with qualifying it as a troll if we want to.
Well, real quick, the reason I agree with you, Curtis, is because you remember one of his things about, and that's what happened with Auburn. Did they win tonight? No, they lost to Missouri. He's so mad because he's like he wasn't even keeping up with it. He didn't even know. So, but yeah, I don't think it was a troll or anything like that. But because here's the deal, I guarantee you, if they had like played earlier and he had known that they had lost, he probably wouldn't I'm assuming he probably wouldn't say something like that. But that's just what Cal's going to do. I don't know. I think he's got bigger fish to fry right now. Truly, like he's not thinking about what did Kentucky do tonight against Vanderbilt. Like he's just got done with a game that was really stressful and down to the wire and everything. I just don't think that was something that was on his mind. He's like, yeah, this is my opportunity to kind of take my pod shots. I just don't see that.
Yeah, I mean he's got a good team, a top 15 team. They're right in the hunt for an SEC title. He's got bigger fish to fry. This game on Saturday is also at home. Last year at Rupp was about Cal, rightfully so. He'd been there for so long. He's going back. There's a lot of, like animosity, emotion, whatever you want to say. Sure, 100%. I kind of feel like this game is more about Mark Pope, if I'm being honest with you, because he's now the guy where all of a sudden it's Cal who's having the success. It's Cal who's back under the spotlight. He's achieving great things at Arkansas. Mark Pope is the other guy where everybody's starting to question, well, is he the right one for the job? What is this looking like? Wow, is the grass greener for Cal on the other side? So the pressure really is on him. It's not like he's going back to his old school and playing, but he's going back and playing against the guy who he replaced, who kicked his ass last year in his own building. So I think there's way more heat on them. For Cal, it's just got to feel kind of satisfying probably when he walks in there. Remember that entrance he made at Rupp? Well, think about the ovation he's going to get at Bud Walton Arena. He gets it every game, but think about how it's going to be on Saturday when he comes out there. It's going to hit a little bit different from him. That'll be cool, but I don't think he's facing a ton of pressure in this one, to be honest with you.
I mean, I think if Mark Pope is going to survive his tenure at Kentucky, and I think he'll survive this season because it's year 2 or whatever, but like if he's going to, moving forward, win back anybody in that Kentucky fan base, you have to kind of show that on any given night you can rise to that occasion. Because all of the great coaches, like even Tom Izzo, he's having a good year this year, and he's had some down years before. But even when Michigan State was like 15-12, you just kind of didn't feel comfortable playing Michigan State because you're like, well, that's a Hall of Fame coach over there. Still something you got to keep in mind. Even going into the Kentucky game last year, as bad as Arkansas was, it's like you still know that's Cal with a really talented team over there. You kind of have that fear no matter what their record says. Right now, I don't think Kentucky has that fear because I think people wonder, do they have a high-level coach that can really get the best out of his team, and can he rise to those occasions? And so I think for Pope, he's going to have to start punching back at some point. I mean, I can't think of a better opportunity for him to kind of reverse some of those narratives. But in terms of Cal's comments at the press conference, what I think it was more than anything was just traditional coach speak, frankly. I mean, we've seen some of these coaches like Dave Van Horn. There are coaches in the SEC that, like, we know for a fact he does not like. But when he's asked about them publicly, he's going to say, oh, Jim Schlossnagle's doing a great job with his team, man. It's great job by that Texas team. Yeah, good stuff there. Like, that's just what you do as a coach. Coaches don't usually put other coaches down unless they really have to.
Yeah, John, I think it was you that brought this up yesterday, where it's like after every game, Cal does the thing where he's like, I'm glad we don't play them again. Yeah. And he did that with Oklahoma even last night. He was like, hey, they're going through the same things that we did last year, and I'm guessing you don't want to be the team that plays them the next couple games. So you do that sometimes. It's like a coach speak complimentary thing, and and by the way, he was asked the question about the Kentucky game. Are you going to be feeling emotions? Is it going to be just another game for you? Like he was prompted for that, and he responded accordingly there. So it wasn't like he was just sitting up there at the microphone. He's like, oh, by the way, I just want everybody to know Mark Pope's doing a great job. He was asked about Kentucky. He talked about him.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, because I can't wait for Arkansas to, if they beat Kentucky by 30, and Cal's going to do something. I don't want to face that team again. I can tell you that. It's because he only does it to the teams he only has to face once in the regular season.
And maybe that'll be the one where he goes up there. If they had a big blowout win, it was like, I think it really is a shame by the SEC that this isn't a home and home every year. Yep. I just play the other side of it. Yeah. That would be a troll.
Yes.
I wish I could play this team 7 times a year.
Yeah, that would be. Heartbroken Hawk says, unfortunately, College Game Day made the right decision. Kentucky hasn't really held up their end of the bargain in making this a big game, which I get, because it was kind of like, but last year was like the one that should have been game day, and it was still really dumb. It wasn't. This year, I would have liked to have had game day. I feel like it still was kind of deserving of it, but I'm also not like, this is stupid. I cannot believe they did this.
I think Darren Peterson may have sat out their midweek game so that he could play on Saturday, which he sits out games no matter what. I wonder if that factored in where they were like, hey, Darren Peterson, if we're coming to game day, that dude has to play at least 20-something minutes. And so I wonder if that factored into why he sat last night.
Yeah, could have been. Shout out to Arkansas. It was good seeing you yesterday, man. And appreciate the super chat. He says, do you guys think any of the frustrations we have with this team stem from a comparison to the top teams in the country, like Michigan, Zona, UConn, etc.?
Maybe so. I think for some people, and it's everybody can feel their own way, because I think some people look at this team, and hell, John Calipari at primetime at the Palace, he stood up there on that awkward stage and was like, this team has a chance to be special. If they stay together and lose themselves with it, like they have a chance to be special. And you've seen the glimpses of it, and they're in a good position here. And they've also, like we said, like they're not a finished product. They've got some very clear issues that they have to figure out. So people get excited when they think about that, right? It's like, dang, we could do this. Like this could be the year. Back to the Final Four, man. But then you see them go out there and give up 48 to Oklahoma in the first half, and you're like, there ain't no way. No way, man. This is crazy. They got to get it figured out. And that pisses people off. And then, you also have to, it's natural to compare yourselves to others. I think if you compare Arkansas to the rest of the SEC, you should feel really, really good about where this team is at. But yeah, Arizona, who's hasn't lost to anybody, has just been beating the crap out of everybody that they face. If you look at Arkansas and you look at Arizona right now, you go, well, I hope they don't run into the Wildcats, because it's probably not going to go very well for them. And if you want Arkansas to compete at that level, the truth of the matter is they're a notch below that right now. Any given night, anything can happen. But in terms of, when you go into the NCAA tournament, the teams that are going to be talked about as, hey, these are your national championship contenders, whether you like it or not, Arkansas is not going to be mentioned in that group of teams that you just put there. Now, if you get there and you're rolling, and whoever's playing the best basketball at that time, then all bets are off. But it's expectation. It can be the thief of joy sometimes when you're comparing things. So,
a few things. One, I think it's less about those teams and more about, as a sports fan, you just assume every other team is great and that they're doing things right. I remember the first football game I ever covered at Arkansas was Arkansas-Rice, and they had to come back from down at half or whatever to win that game. And I remember in the press box, everyone kept saying, if they play like that next week against Texas, they're in trouble. And that was a 5-7 Texas team that they beat by 100 points. And so it's like one of those things where you just assume, well, Texas, they won't get away with that against Texas. Yes, they will. Texas sucks. You know what I mean? But it's like in your head, you're just like, well, we're going to face better teams and they're going to beat us. Well, not always. And I think it's you're onto something, Curtis, in terms of if you compare Arkansas to the SEC, you'll feel a lot better. But also, it's easier to actually compare because you're playing the same teams. You're playing each other. Not to say, and listen, obviously those teams, if you compare Zona, Duke, whoever, Arkansas doesn't compare well on paper or whatever and resume and all that, but they're also just playing a completely different set of teams. Now, obviously with Duke, you did play them, but it's just hard to draw too many lines. You'll really kind of have to wait until you just match up with them. And then you kind of look at, does our shooting guard match up? Does our power forward, whatever. But I think a lot of times, you see the fans, you just assume that everyone else is crushing it. And it's just not always the case.
Yeah. And also, too, it's like I think fans just hang on every single play so much sometimes where it's like, if you're hanging on like even games by game, you hang on it so much that you don't think about the surrounding landscape of the sport and surrounding like, hey, a lot of teams are doing these things. Most teams are worse than you at this. Most teams are doing but you're just hanging on it because you have such a thing. And it's the same thing with baseball. We were laughing about it last night when somebody tweeted at me, and I think it was you, Andrew, it was like, we need to have a conversation about Trevin Brazil. It's like, what conversation? Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, okay, we know who he is. It's like, but you don't say this after they beat Texas Tech and he had like the game of his life. Like, you want to bench him then? Like, what about then? It's when it was Brent Iredale last year in baseball, it's like, we got to have a conversation about benching him. Why? Because he's hitting 297, which is the worst on an incredibly successfully hitting team. Like, you just hang so much on stuff to where if everybody's not awesome and amazing when they're on the court at all times, it's like, you just get frustrated by it. And it's like, that's just not a reality you can live in.
Not to derail this conversation and make it about baseball, but one thing that drives me nuts, every single spring I hear this. I hear people say, you need 3 legit starters to make it to Omaha. Objectively, unequivocally, no, you don't. In fact, every single year, teams that only have 1, maybe 2 starters make it to Omaha. In 2018, Arkansas had 1.5 starters. In 2020 or 2019, they had 1 in Isaiah Campbell. Like, you always kind of think, you're like, man, if you're going to be a good basketball team, you better have a dominant big man, a great point guard, 3 good shooters. You need 10 guys. It's like, I know it sounds like that. You really don't. You need 7 dudes basically, and a couple guys that can shoot, a couple guys that can take a charge. Like, that's pretty much what you need when you look around the country.
Let's do this real quick. Let's have a conversation about Trevin Brazil.
Let's do it.
What's the alternative? What's the alternative?
Somebody else better.
Yeah, there's not one. They didn't recruit one on this roster. So love it or hate it, deal with it. That's the conversation.
Well, that's kind of when every time I hear the let's have a conversation thing. And by the way, I feel like that's my bit. I always say we can have a conversation about this. We can have a conversation about that. But seriously, like, if you want to have a conversation about Trevin, we can do it. We do it every week. He's inconsistent. He needs to play better. He needs to be more tough in these moments. Like, these are conversations we have every day. Mm-hmm. So why would we, after he plays poorly, be like, hey, we need to have a conversation? All right, let's do it again. We'll say it again. Hey, Trevin, you need to be a little bit more consistent. Hey, Trevin, I wish that you would step up in these big moments. Like, we can keep doing this all you want, but if you're trying to mean like, hey, we should bench him or we should go another direction or he actually sucks and shouldn't be playing at all, like, that's going to be a hard one for me.
Right.
I think
go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, maybe the people are just like, well, just go get a Bediako out there. Just add him. Like, maybe that's what they're trying to say.
Yeah, no, that's you're probably right. That's the answer for some people out there. I will say with Trevin, and he does, like, he needs to be more consistent. He needs to be better more consistently, and he hasn't been very good, frankly, the last 2 games. But everybody remember that 3-pointer he hit against LSU at the very end?
Nope.
Everybody remember that game-saving block shot that he got last night? So
don't remember. It's but it's the other stuff, Curtis. It's the other stuff.
Exactly. Like, I saw him get scored on 18 times last night, but hey, he got the stop when it counted, man.
And again, that's what and I guess that's the point I'm trying to make, is like specifically about Trevin Brazil. It's like, you mix the good with the bad, and is your good much better than your bad? Then I think Trevin Brazil's good is better than the bad. So therefore, he's all right in my book. It's like, it'd be one thing if you were having this expectation, like, oh, he has to be our best player. He's not. He's not your best player. But you know what? There's times where he can do some really good things for you. It's kind of like Carter Knox. Like there's times Carter can look awesome and do some great things, but does that mean like need to have a conversation about him? No, it's just that's the way it is. And so I don't know. I always just find it funny how people just really take it to that approach. Like, just like it's the NBA. Cut this player and add somebody else. It's like that's just not what happens. It's not how it works. Mm-hmm. We'll get to our heavy hitters in a bit too, but I want to give a shout out to Go Hogs Arkansas for becoming a new member. So nice. Shout out to you. Oh, yeah. This is like one of the very few names I feel like we have that's not someone's name or something random or something I can't say or pronounce. It's like very simple. Go Hogs Arkansas. Very nice. So, but we appreciate the membership there. Also, a few other ones here too. I'm going to save this one for heavy hitters when we get to that. But Ryan says, getting old to have the consistency talk every week.
That's our point, that we don't need to keep having the conversation. I get it if it's like, hey, yeah, Trevin, we want him to be more consistent. We've never disagreed with that. That's kind of our point is like, do we need to keep rehashing this every single week? No, we don't. Just like with any, I'm sorry to make it about baseball game, but it's like any guy like Kahio Aloy, if he has a game where he goes 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts, are we really going to do the thing where we're like, Kahio, sometimes he hits home runs, but sometimes he strikes out. Like, what's up with that? Like, we don't need to have a conversation about it. That's our point.
I wonder what team you need to be a fan of to be satisfied with their consistency, Ryan. Like, I mean, honestly, there are 2 undefeated teams left in the country. Arizona blew a 21-point lead and damn near lost at BYU the other day. You would have an entire Twitter feed of hate mail if that happened. So you wouldn't be satisfied with that. Miami of Ohio is undefeated. They're playing in the MAC or whatever it is over there, and they've had to come back from double-digit deficits like 8 times in a row. You wouldn't be happy about that. So let me know in your strive for consistency what it is that you need to see to be satisfied, and we'll pass along the message to the Razorbacks.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, because I was like just thinking about like some of the best teams out there. Like you talk about the undefeated teams and everything, but it's kind of like like Texas Tech, for instance. It's like they've had some games where it's like they've lost, but it's like, well, they lost to Arkansas, they lost to Purdue, they lost to Houston, they lost to Illinois. You don't think that they're like, hey, we shouldn't have lost to Arkansas, type of thing. I'm sure they are. They're probably get a little bit tired of it too, but. Again, it goes back to if the end result ends up being a national championship or Final Four, none of you are going to be like, yeah, but this team, they weren't very consistent, so they suck. It's like, no, you're winning games. What are you, 16-5? What do you mean? Yeah. Like, what's your like?
Quite literally on a 3-game losing streak or like, winning streak. Sorry.
Yeah. It's like I just don't get it. But either way, also, to I was going to bring this one. Before we get to this, the heavy hitters, when we're talking about the guards for Cal, he says, do y'all think the SEC is better from Go Hogs? Y'all think the SEC is better now than when it was when those other guards played?
Yeah.
Most of them, yes. Dude, there were years back in those days where the SEC would get 4 or 5 teams in the tournament. Like, actually, it would be lucky to have 6 or 7.
I'll never forget the time that they had. I think it was 3 teams, and one of them was like a play-in game, and it was like Kentucky, Florida, and maybe like South Carolina or somebody like random got in, and it was just like disgusting. Like, yeah, they were going up against like Rick Ray over at Mississippi State. Like, come on, like just absolute like who type of like what was it? Tony Barbie at Auburn. And Avery Johnson at Alabama. It's like, oh, geez, man, it was brutal. So
John Pelfrey at Arkansas. I mean, the list goes on. But I would also say that like every team in college sports is better now than they were 10, 15 years ago, just because you can bring in transfers, you can bring in professional players, you can bring in whatever. The overall rosters are just better at the top of college basketball, college baseball, college football than they were 10 or 15 years ago. And the athletes, as humans evolve, the athletes get better and better.
By the way, this is really random, but it just made me think, whatever happened to Billy Kennedy? Like, whatever, like from A&M, did he ever? I just felt like he was there and he had like a kind of a decent stretch or two, and he just disappeared off the face of the earth. I never heard from him again.
I don't know,
but I remember he's the one that because I think they still have it in his quote in Bud Walton that's like, this is the toughest place to play, or you don't come in here expecting to win. But it doesn't say his name; it just says Texas A&M coach. I don't know, but I was just wondering, like, whatever happened to that guy? But that just shows you again how the SEC has evolved. And even though it's not as good this year as it was last year, it's still light years from where it was, say, 10 years ago overall.
Yeah,
according to our Aggie, our resident Aggie, he says that he's got Parkinson's disease.
Oh, okay. Don't put man on it like I was trashing him or something like that. I was just asking a question.
My mother has
college
Parkinson's
corner,
disease.
bro.
Yeah,
My mom has Parkinson's, so I'm allowed to make fun of people with Parkinson's. So,
oh, there you go.
I have that badge. Come on.
Yeah,
I was making fun of him for being a bad basketball coach.
Yeah, and he was just like bringing random. Like, sorry, man. People,
we didn't call him Mr.
sensitive.
Shakies. We just said he couldn't coach basketball.
Right.
Jeez, man. All right, let's just get into our heavy hitters presented by HD Roofing Construction, because we know storms can hit anytime here in the state of Arkansas. Weather's always unpredictable. I mean, for crying out loud, look at this past weekend. But it's probably going to be in the 70 degrees here in a couple of weeks. Why? Because that's the Arkansas way. But anytime that type of thing happens, storms can roll in, and rain and wind and all types of things can happen. You got to make sure your roof's good to go. You got to make sure that it can take on all of the elements and be strong, because it's the last resort. It's the last defense, to where if you got a leaky roof or a problematic roof, it could destroy the inside of your home, your possessions, and even really impact your family. So wait no longer. Go ahead and get that free inspection and make sure your roof is good to go with HD Roofing and Construction by calling their Northwest Arkansas office at 479-957-1928. Or you can call their Central Arkansas office at 501-428-0429. They have professionalism, integrity, teamwork, and also extremely hardworking with the top quality materials and expert installation that they will use. You can also check out their website at hdarkansas.com. It's HD Roofing Construction, the official sponsor here of Inside Arkansas and our heavy hitters. So for our heavy hitters, guys, real quick, because I know we'll have some more of the chats to get into, but I just wanted to give a shout, because this was something that I think we even talked about. I can't believe it was on the show or just off the show or off air, but shout out to the Razorback football team, because apparently they have a record, a history. They're making history. 6 players that got invited into the Senior Bowl. So how about that? It's the Panini Senior Bowl. Then it used to be something else. It
used to be Reese's, which is what I thought it was until 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, well, ever changing stuff. But Arkansas has 6 guys: Carmona, Xavier Sorey, Taylon Green, Julian Neal, who's any like still eligible, or am I thinking of somebody else? No, I'm thinking of Andy Jean. Never mind. Julian Neal, Mike Washington Jr., and Cam Ball. So we're looking for positives in football. We haven't talked much football since the transfer portal came to an end. But hey, setting records, not just bad ones, but good ones, where you have 6 Razorbacks going to the Senior Bowl. Good luck to you fellas. Even though you were just part of one of the worst seasons ever at Arkansas, but we're rooting for you. So good luck to you, no matter what.
Yeah, salute indeed.
Listen,
best wishes moving forward.
Yeah,
this was unironically going to be my heavy hitter. This is back-to-back days where John has just ripped my heavy hitter out from under me. I was just going to commend him. One, not because I'm like happy Arkansas has 6, which apparently is the most or whatever. But honestly, it's just a massive opportunity. And I get it. These guys are on a bad team, and so if you're a Razorback fan and you want them to fail, that's perfectly fine. You're well within your rights. I just think it's cool. Like, that could be the difference between making a 53-man roster, the difference between getting drafted, maybe being an undrafted free agent. You get a preseason chance, and so I don't know what all those 6 of these guys are going to do, but I'm just, it's cool that they get that opportunity, and would love to see them make the most of it. And so we will be wishing them the best and keeping them in our T's and P's.
So you're using that as
no,
your
I was
going
to be my heavy hitter. I have a subsequent one. I will let Curtis go first because it is his turn.
Okay.
Well, anyway, mine was the Lloyd Noble Center last night. I want to give a shout out to that, because we didn't have much by way of expectations going over there, based on everything that we had heard and seen so far. Like this, nobody cared about that basketball team. Nobody's showing up. Of course, that they had to make it, free admission and $2 beers and everything like that. But I wound up really, really enjoying that. And first of all, I just thought the arena was cool. I like the way that it was set up. It's smaller and everything, but it's I don't know. There was something about it that feels like it could be kind of a cool, cozy basketball environment. There's a lot of tradition in there, a lot of history in that building. Blake Griffin and Buddy Hield and Trae Young and all those guys. I don't know, man. I kind of like the setup and the way that it was there. And then it turned out to be a really cool environment. I thought Razorback fans did a great job of showing up and making their presence felt. Like there were stretches where it kind of felt like a neutral site game in there for a while. I saw that in terms of their counted attendance, that's the highest attended game at Lloyd Noble this season by a pretty wide margin. And
Wow.
it wound up being pretty live in there for the last 10 minutes of that game. So turned out to be a good atmosphere, a good challenge for Arkansas on the road. Turned into a little bit of a hostile environment, which I just didn't think was going to happen. And they responded in a good way. So I enjoyed that. I would like to agree with our basketball coach that they need to do a heck of a lot better job of cleaning off their streets because that was crazy work there. But no, it was a good time, and I enjoyed it. I'm glad that we went.
And to add to that real quick, a shout out to, and I'm not trying to start crap, but shout out to the SIDs and everybody over there in Oklahoma. Very just like accommodating and kind of like, hey, do whatever you guys need to do to get the job done. Really appreciated that because that makes life so much easier for those astute members of the media like ourselves. So thank you for that.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
It was a very like clean arena, I would say.
Yeah.
And it just looked kind of nice. It reminded me a little bit of the Moody Center, honestly, in terms of it being kind of a smaller, more intimate atmosphere, but it's like everything's clean, everything's, right where it needs to be. And I thought it was a nice little crowd, nice little atmosphere. My heavy hitter, I've got a couple. One, the nerds. I want to shout out to the nerds because they have effectively ruined every single Hall of Fame that exists. The Baseball Hall of Fame was ruined decades ago, where it's become impossible to get into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Like, you literally have to hit 7 home runs and you have to donate to charity, all these great things. It's just crazy. Football Hall of Fame, I felt like was one of the last remaining decent ones because basketball has done the thing where they just let everybody in, which honestly, I would rather you lean more on that side because what my criteria for Hall of Fame is if we are telling the story of the league or the sport and we need to tell the story, if you can tell it without that guy, they're not a Hall of Famer. And so if you're telling the story of basketball, you're just now going to have to do a Reggie Miller segment. You're just now going to have to do a, Christian Laettner segment. You're going to have to do all this stuff. But if you can tell the story with those guys, I'm cool with them being in the Hall of Fame. Bill Belichick does not get in his first crack at the NFL or the Pro Football Hall of Fame. This is literally just nerds being mad and that people that don't like Bill Belichick. I blame Pablo involved.
There it is. So yes, no, we agree because we talked about it last night, like how I don't care about anything and any crap or controversy or any of that. The man won 6 Super Bowls. Like you got Hall of Fame coaches that have won 1, and it's like the dude won 6. That's first ballot. That's like I'm not trying to make this exact, but imagine like Phil Jackson not getting first ballot Hall of Fame. It's just like, well, I don't know. It's just like, okay, it's only just like one more championships than anybody in the sport. Because I don't even know. I guess what was it? Is 4 the next highest? I think is it? It's not Walsh.
Like in terms of Super Bowls by a coach.
Yeah.
You'd have to go back and find somebody. It'd have to be someone from one of those Packers teams. I guess Jimmy Johnson. What, he win 3?
He only won 2. So it's like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I guess but the point is like, he's basically won double what anybody else has. So yeah, it's absurd, but no, that's a good one there too. And I hate Bill Belichick. I do, but I do wonder, guys, like, do you think maybe because of his ending in New England and then how terrible he is over at North Carolina and then the whole like Jordan Hudson thing, do you have like feel like people are kind of like, we don't know about this guy. Like, I'm wondering if that's had any impact on people like that. It shouldn't, but I'm wondering.
It has to have. Otherwise, it just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, but it's wild, man.
Yeah.
What a way to tarnish your legacy, buddy.
Seriously.
Yeah, I think it definitely played in, which is why it's crazy to me. Because, like, listen, as a sports commentator, like, there are people that I hold grudges against, people that I hate, people that I truly root against all the time. I would never let that affect my Hall of Fame vote. You know what I mean? Like, if it came down to it, I'm still, I'll vote Nick Saban into the Hall of Fame. I'll vote whoever. Like, come on now, that's just ridiculous. And what were you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say is it's kind of like I saw some AP voters for the men's basketball top 25 who didn't put Alabama in their top 25, and they would put out on social media, "I didn't do this because of the Charles Bediako situation." And it's like, well, that's not really your job. Like, your job is to evaluate the best 25 teams and rank them accordingly or whatever. So yeah, it's like taking other circumstances outside of the accomplishments themselves and using that to kind of fuel your decision. Should you be the ones making those decisions? Like, should you have a vote if that's the way that you're going to do it? I don't know.
Well, what's funny about this whole thing? I have always been on the side of Brady was the engine and Belichick reaped the rewards. And I've always been the guy that like kind of points to Belichick's surrounding circumstances and saying, well, his career really isn't that impressive if you take away the Brady thing. And even I would admit that's an insane reason to not have a guy with 6 Super Bowls in the Hall of Fame. Like that's like, I would never be like, hey, he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. I would just argue he's not like the best coach of all time or whatever. Same for Barry. It's like, come on, we're not going to have the best, arguably the best coach of the generation. We're not gonna have the best player of all time in baseball. Like we're taking ourselves a little too seriously here.
Yeah, and the same thing is like I brought Phil Jackson. Like, yeah, okay, he had Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. He won 11 titles. Like, I mean, is that just like, well, he wasn't any good. It was all Jordan and Kobe. It's like, well, Jordan and Kobe didn't win any titles without him. So there must have been something there. Sometimes it's just that way. But
by the way, did I say Pablo Torre or did I say Pablo Sanchez?
You got cut off.
You did, but we
okay.
Pablo Torre.
Well, I blame Pablo Torre for sure.
Pablo came out of your mouth and then you froze and everybody's like,
Yeah, no, it's definitely Pablo Torre. Pablo Sanchez, I would never blame for anything. That dude's a stud. By the way, my other heavy hitter was Giannis because he is now, it's pretty much official. Giannis is going to be on the move this weekend. The trade deadline, I don't remember the date. It's like February 5th or something like that. Yeah, and so we had the big Luka trade happen during the Kentucky game or the Kentucky post game last year. Be on the lookout. We might. I mean, I don't think we're going to derail our post game for Giannis, but I just thought that was funny that back-to-back years we're getting a generational international talent being traded during the Kentucky game. I love that.
Looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. All right. So a few chats before we get out of here, folks. Appreciate everybody jumping in with us. Sharkensaw said, with the boneheaded play of the millennium last night. Yeah, dude. So you guys mentioned it because I was driving last night and I didn't get a chance to watch it. Well, I got back home and I saw it. I'm like, oh, dude, like we all make mistakes, right? I mean, the things happen, but that's just one of those where when you're getting two-pieced and you got that going on, and then the 1, 2, 3 money, all that. It was just a bad night for Kentucky all around. Just bad night.
Look, that was a tough look. And then, John, I think you brought it up where like action is live in the game and the Vanderbilt dude's shoe came off where he's like putting his shoe back on and tying it in the middle of the play. And the dude defending him for Kentucky's just standing there chilling. It's like, go trap the ball handler. Like, what are we doing here, man? That Mark Pope's got to be just beside himself after that.
Yeah, and I'm worried that now it's like that is such a bad. There's so many clips that they can pull up and show and be like, "This is crazy. This is unacceptable." I kind of wish this game had happened on Wednesday because I feel like you can't get all of that out in 3 days. But that extra day of rest, this might lead to a come to Jesus moment.
Yeah, I said, or whatever biblical example that needs to happen for Mark Pope to get. Yeah. Let's see. John Sullivan says, "Get Bobby Regan on the show before the game, please." Well, you're in luck because he is going to be coming on the show. We're going to have him on Friday, or going to at least have the interview released on Friday. So,
John, you should pull up some of his titles.
I'm going. Listen,
he has like these like 4-sentence titles. Where it'll be like, John Calipari sucks, and now he has ruined college basketball, and Mark Pope is the greatest coach of all time for this Kentucky basketball team. And that'll be the title of the article. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. No, it's like I can't wait to bring it all up and to see how he feels about it. But, yeah, it's going to be fun because also David says, can we play the KSR thank you skit? Need that all week. Yeah, sure. Just turn on Andrew Ellis's notifications because I'm guaranteed to tweet it, retweet it at some point in time. Yeah. That was great though, but because that's the thing is like, I don't know. I shout Matt Jones, KSR, all the Kentucky people, like give a great time, no hate, no nothing like that. But it was one of those things where, man, it got turned up to 1,000 so quick on so many things. And then Arkansas was just kind of how do you use it in those terms? They were just almost like they're just kind of looped into it. It's like they had nothing really to do with it other than they just hired the coach. But it's like they just got, the thank you, John Tyson. John Tyson's like, hold on a second. Like, I mean, why are you even bringing this up towards me? Like, it's like you're doing great over there. And I think that's what made everything just kind of get blown up so much because just you got so excited and not only were you excited at Kentucky, but you're just taking shots and they're like, at Arkansas, you're like, what did you expect Arkansas to do? Not hire John Calipari? Plus, they did you a favor when you didn't have to owe him any money. Like, what? I just never understood. I get it. Like, hate watching, whatever, but just the over the top that you guys went to was just so crazy.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's I obviously Kentucky fans are going to do a lot of, comparison and what ifs and did we get the right guy and, all that stuff. And it's tough for them. It is funny though. I even saw earlier today, it was a Kansas State account that was like, you're telling me that we were this close to getting rid of Jerome Tang and sending him to Arkansas. He was like, that's BS. There's no way there was ever a contract offer on the table because they went and got John freaking Calipari instead. And boy, that's a different conversation than it would have been this time a year ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's crazy how all this stuff works out. I go back and think of that coaching search like once a week. I'll just sit down and I'll take 10 minutes and be like, wow, I'm going to relive all these moments again. And we were in the stage of, good God, I hope Hunter Yurachek has the balls to hire Will Wade or we're getting Chris Jans. And then next thing you know, it was Cal. And the way that was scrutinized and the way that it's, come about over the course of the last almost 2 years now, Arkansas fans are winning right now. And we didn't know if that was going to be the case. We knew there were going to be headlines, but he's done a hell of a job so far.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy. I mean, all the characters that were involved. I mean, even Chris Beard, who we thought that was like a done deal, and we were pretty devastated when Keith Carter put out that tweet. That probably wouldn't have worked out super well for Arkansas. I mean, I'm sure they would be better than Ole Miss is currently, but it's like that turned out to not be like a can't miss opportunity. Jerome Tang was going to be your fallback option. That would have been a complete disaster. Chris Jans might have been your fallback option. Would have been a complete disaster. Will Wade would have been a good hire, and he, I think that NC State's going to end up okay, but I wouldn't say he's like completely lighting it up over there. So yeah, it is just kind of crazy how you get lucky sometimes.
That's right. Finch, a few more here. Appreciate the super chat. He goes, appreciate the grind and the laugh, fellas. Thanks for lifting my spirits as always. So
we got you, man.
Yep.
Yeah,
appreciate you. Yeah. Appreciate you.
Appreciate doing well.
Yeah. Appreciate your support and hang in there, man. Just hang in there. Let's see. Also, Hickory Hawk says, did Andrew get his Charleston Chew and Yoo-Hoo?
I did not get Charleston Chew because frankly, I don't know what it is. So I did not, but I did get a Yoo-Hoo. What did I end up with? I had a Starburst pack that was all the red and pink ones because that's the cool ones. I did get that iced honey bun, and I did have a Yoo-Hoo, and I did have a meeting with the porcelain this morning.
I got the iced honey bun. I told everybody that I was going to just follow you around and get everything you did. As soon as we walked in that QT, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I couldn't do the Yoo-Hoo. Not when we still had 2 more hours to drive. I was like, I don't know about that one. But no, it worked out. And the iced honey bun was a great call.
Yeah. I was just, I told Curtis, and like one of these times we go on these road trips, like me and Curtis we should just get to decide what Andrew gets and like make him stay in the truck. And then we're going to come out there with things and then just see if it's like something he likes or something he doesn't and just, see how it goes. Maybe we do that next time. But yeah, it was a successful road trip though. We made it work and it was a lot of fun. So I guess won't be traveling again until the NCAA tournament, or at least, well, I guess no Arlington's before that too, but not all of us are going there. Point is that it was a fun trip and glad that we went last night. A few other things too. Pigpen says controversial statement. A-Cup's defense is trash. Malik is a lockdown defender.
I think the Malik aspect of this is maybe the more controversial one because he is an above average, like getting in the passing lanes and making some things happen. Definitely not a lockdown, like one-on-one defender. Like
Arkansas doesn't have one of those.
Yeah, by like any stretch of the imagination. It's not controversial to say that A-Cup's defense is trash. That's like kind of the thing that we talk about every day.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's that controversial as far as some of that goes, but also I think it's maybe just a little bit dramatic, more so than anything. But a few more here too. Nathaniel says, always miss the live show, but boss ain't been around all day. So I got an earbud and finally able to get to listen to the show live. Always listen, but not live. Well, your boss sucks if he's being around. Yeah. Find you a new boss. But no, we appreciate you tuning in and watching it. Let's see. Also, Unbiased Brim says, did anyone see Bree Ellis with KD? We did. Saw that.
We did, and we were all kind of perplexed as to what was going. Like, what event was this at? I'm sure it was just hey, I'm a huge fan. Can we take a picture? But KD seemed delighted to see her.
Yeah, just like it's just I don't know. I think I could be like kind of like imagine like Mahiva Loy getting a picture with like Scotty Scheffler. It's like okay, it's like all right, like just something random. Like all right.
Yeah, but it
yeah,
like KD, like it looked like old friends meeting up. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he had that big smile on his face, and it was, I don't know. He did. Like he looked happy, like they knew each other or something. I don't know. It was weird, but
Yeah, maybe so. All right, and then Addison says, waiting for Rick Pitino to release in a video employing fans, not a Bud, not to boo Pope.
So I
Don't
thought
make me
about
get
this
one of
last
those.
night when Cal did the "Hey, Pope's not that bad" bit, and Kentucky fans were yelling at him. I'm like, this is just the best Cal move of all time. All these Kentucky coaches or former Kentucky coaches, he's like becoming their champion and being like, "Hey guys, come on, be nice to Billy Gillispie. Come on, you gotta be really nice to these guys." Like I think that's the ultimate form of big broing. When you're telling a crowd not to boo a man, that's big broing someone.
Yep, absolutely. And also, I guess Ryan, he says, it's cool that I'm getting crapped on for calling out Arkansas defense. When clearly our problems on defense are effort based, we have seen them play good defense before when they decide to make it a priority, is what I assume he was meaning to finish off with.
Nobody, I mean, listen. So again, we're having like completely different conversations here. Nobody's saying that like Arkansas has a great defensive team and nobody should be concerned about that. We are just kind of poking fun because, like we said, Curtis, we literally scrolled through your Twitter last night because you tweet at us a lot. And it was just all anger and all like
every bit
vitriol,
of it, man.
Which, like, listen, that's your
Find
prerogative.
some balance in your life.
we all view sports through a different lens, but I'm just like, if that really is the lens where you're just angry the entire time, I really think you got to find something else to do. Like, and I'm not even being like mean when I say that. It's like, I just don't think that's a healthy way to go about life. Because like we do this because it's fun. We watch sports because we love watching sports. We love seeing these stories. We love watching the people that go to Arkansas. Like, it's this whole thing. So it's like, if you're really that angry all the time in the midst of one of the best teams we've seen in a while, you know what I mean? Especially in the regular season, if you're like still this upset, I feel like you probably just like, maybe this isn't your thing.
Well, I get like frustrations for everybody, but as I always kind of look at it in the lens of like where it stands right now, you can get frustrated and all that, but if it's just constant anger and constant all that, tell me what teams in the SEC in basketball you would trade right now.
Sure.
Yeah. Tell me like which ones. I promise you, maybe be like, well, maybe one. But yeah, exactly. Maybe one. So to me, I'm like, tell me what other sport that would be the case. Like, how many in football would you have liked to trade it with? All of them this past year, like literally all of them. It's like, just sometimes enjoy it. I get it. Frustrations happen. It's annoying things happen, but you're doing really good. You're in a great spot. You have a great player. You have many great players. Just enjoy it, man. Just enjoy it because you're Arkansas. You don't get many cool stuff like this very often.
Right. We talk about it every day. Yes, the team's got to get better defensively. And yeah, we've seen it. And sure, that makes it frustrating that it's not more consistent, but you play different teams every game. We have different players who can do different things. Like it's not a just because you did this against team A, you can do it against teams B through Z. Some games are better matchups than others. Sometimes you're going to feel better. Like game plans are going to be better than others. There's a lot of factors that go into that, but it was really bad in the first half last night. And then they shut that stuff down on the road in the second half. And a lot of that was spurred by the adjustments they made and getting more physical and active on the defensive end of the floor. They weren't going to win that game unless they got the stop at the very end. And then they did. They only got 31 points. Oklahoma shot 36% in the second half. They hit 1,000,000 threes in the first half. They hit 3 in the second. So will you at least acknowledge that? If you're going to be so mad about everything else, and they won the damn game, like it's going to be all right, man. I promise.
Yeah. I think it's completely normal and fair to like hold your team to a championship type of standard. Like we think this basketball team has a chance to be special. And so, I get if you're like, hey, I want them to win the national championship. And so I want them to reach this level or whatever. That's all fine. And of course, with baseball season, anytime Arkansas doesn't win the College World Series, which is every year, it's always like, well, they did all this, but they lost in when it mattered. And so I'm mad. And this whole season sucked or whatever. And like, I remember last year having some of these conversations where I'm like, if that was your experience of the 2025 Arkansas baseball season was just that they didn't win the national championship and you're mad, then I do feel sorry for you. Cause I'm like, that was the most fun 6 months of my life. You know what I mean? And frankly, this basketball season, I don't want to jinx it and knock on wood, but like, this has been some of the most fun I've ever had covering Arkansas basketball was this particular team this season, going to Dallas, going to Norman. Like I'm counting down the days till we can travel the country and see them in the NCAA tournament. And so it's like, it's kind of crazy to me because like we're living this fun, life and, it's 16-5 and we kind of feel like we're rolling. And then we're seeing some people who are like genuinely just not happy at any moments. And I'm like, damn, I'm just glad I'm not that.
I can tell you it's been the most fun January I've had in basketball. I mean, already, because it's been,
Sure.
so tough. So it's like, I'm
usually
take
miserable this time of year.
Yeah. It's usually so upsetting. It's like trying to justify, well, no, don't worry. They'll figure it out like they always do. But, it's just not the case, though. So either way. Well, fellas, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day?
Nah, not really. I feel like we've talked a lot in the last 24 hours. I might be running out, but there will be a Pod at the Palace in the morning. So make sure you check that out, and appreciate everybody for hanging out with us, rocking with us as always. And we're looking forward to some things coming down the pipes. We'll be out at Goat Lab Friday. So hopefully I think I saw the real field was going to get up to like 42 today. Can some of this melt, please? Can I see grass again? That some people need to see grass so they can go touch it. All right. If we can get that, that'd be awesome. But come hang out with us at Goat Lab. Be a good time. Inside Arkansas Live, noon, Friday.
Yeah, we got picnic weather outside, man. So
Yeah,
hope
come
you'll
on,
enjoy
man.
it. My final thoughts are this will be I'm not going to say the last because there will be another time. I'm just going to rehash the Houston hat conversation. One, it's a Houston Rockets hat. You see the logo right there. I wear Houston clothes. I wear Astros stuff. I wear Rocket stuff. I wear Texan stuff. It's become a very obvious thing. I'm a Houston sports fan. Wearing a Houston Rockets hat. If you want to be upset about it, you can. Even if you did think it was a Houston Cougars hat, why would that upset you? Other than when Arkansas played Houston. If I had worn the Houston hat then, that would make sense. But it's going to be okay. I promise you.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. If you're upset by anything, just wait till tomorrow, and I'm sure we'll upset you in some other way too. But either way, it's a lot of fun though. We love you all, and we appreciate you all, and appreciate you subscribing to us here at Inside Arkansas. And you haven't done so, I don't know what you're waiting on. You better do it now. Hit that subscribe button on our YouTube page. You can also check out our social medias at Inside Arkansas. And as Curtis said, we are going to be live at Goat Lab Red in Fayetteville, 1214 North Garland Avenue on Friday. So coming out, we're going to have some giveaways and a good time. I know a lot of people are already going to be there. So better get there early to make sure you got your seat. And we're going to have some fun with that as well. So that'll do it for us today. For Andrew Ellis, Curtis Wilkerson, and intern Cameron, I am John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.